بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. So today we're going to talk about, we're going to continue talking about grammatical factors that enter noun-based sentences. We talked about kana wa akhawatha, and we talked about inna wa akhawatha. Today we're going to talk about dhanna wa akhawatha, and then we're going to move on inshallah to the chapter of the adjective. So dhanna wa akhawatha is pretty simple. It's much more simple than kana wa akhawatha and inna wa akhawatha, where there's more details to learn. But what we're doing is we're studying grammatical factors that enter noun-based sentences. So that's what we're studying. So enter noun-based sentences. A noun-based sentence has a mubtada and a khabar. Every noun-based sentence has a mubtada and a khabar that come in different forms. Now the mubtada, what are the forms the mubtada can be in? It can be zahir, it can be apparent, meaning a noun, or it can be implicit, which is a pronoun. It could be a pronoun. Correct? It could be a pronoun. What else can it be? Sure. It could be ism. It could be dhamir. So pronoun is a dhamir, right? Or it could be estimated. Let's leave the estimated part out for now because there's no point. Al-khabar comes in how many forms? Al-khabar comes in. Khabar comes in the first form noun. It comes into a noun, the form of a noun. So it could be an ism, or it could be a shibh jumla, which is a semi-sentence. What are the forms of semi-sentences? Either a circumstantial preposition, ظرف, a circumstantial preposition, or a jar majroor, prepositions and what follows them. Okay, or the final way it could be a jumla, could be a sentence, not a semi-sentence. What are the two sentences we can have? I could be a verb-based sentence or a noun-based sentence. So when you look at the khabar can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3.
If it's a jumla, it's a full sentence, then it's no longer a noun based sentence, it's a complex sentence.
Yes, now the whole thing turns into a complex sentence. But this is still one sentence. The khabar, the noun, the mubtada is going to be a noun. The khabar is going to be a sentence. But the sentence is going to be a khabar to this mubtada, right? But it's a complex sentence. I have a sentence within a sentence, but still it works the same way. Now the grammatical factors that enter this sentence are three groups, three families. The first family is called the incomplete verbs, or al-af'al al-naqisa. They're incomplete verbs. What are they missing? They're missing a lot. They don't have concrete meanings. They bring tenses. They bring timing to the khabar. They bring the khabar some form of timing. They give it a time. Kana, we used to. Asbaha, became. Sara, became. Bata, or amsa, in the evening or at night. Dhalla, all these af'al al-naqisa, these incomplete verbs, just bring tense. Laysa, it denies the khabar. So these are called kana wa akhawatha. Kana and its sisters. So we're going to just talk about a couple. Kana asbaha, Sara, Laysa. Okay? There's more, of course, etc. The incomplete verbs. This is the first family. Okay, Hamdi. What does this family affect in the sentence? Yes, very good. This family, when it comes, it positions itself, of course all of them position themselves right before they put themselves over here. Right? When they're here, they affect what? They affect the khabar. And they make it mansoob. Now the mubtada and khabar, originally what are they both? Marfu'. The whole point of studying this is that the mubtada and khabar are from the marfu'at min al-asma. We're still not done studying that, by the way. We're still studying the marfu'at min al-asma, the nouns that are in the status of rafa'. We start with al-fa'il, sorry, the subject within a verb-based sentence. We did na'ib al-fa'il, right, the substitute for the subject or the object in a passive verb-based sentence, right? And then we talked about mubtada and khabar. And now we talked about ism kana, because kana doesn't touch it, it stays marfu'. And then we talked about khabar inna, because inna will affect the mubtada and will leave the khabar untouched. And then the final one is going to be the adjective, or the tabi', the followers of other words. So certain words don't really have a status, they just follow another word. So there are 4 types of followers. Now a word that follows a noun that is marfu', what will it be? It'll be also marfu', which is what we're going to study today, which is the final one. Again, these are all issues of, pretty much common sense. So al-fa'al al-naqisa is the first group. The second group, they're called kana wa akhawatha, is al-ahruf al-mushabbaha bil-fi'l. Prepositions that are similar to verbs. They have more concrete meanings. They don't bring tenses, but they're not really a verb. They're prepositions, they're not really verbs. Example, inna or anna. Right? Ka'anna, lakinna, layta, la'alla. What else? Anything else? No, that's pretty much it. Right? So these are the guys. What do they affect ya hamdi? Allah ya hamdi. Yeah, they come sit over here also, but they affect the mubtada and they make it mansoob. So the khabar, their khabar stays marfu'. So it's one of the marfu'at min al-asma. It's not affected, it stays marfu', it becomes marfu'. Right? It becomes one of the marfu'at min al-asma. The final group, I'm going to put it in the middle because it's smaller than the rest. It's dhanna wa akhawatha, or the af'al al-dhann. Right? Af'al al-dhann they're called, meaning the verbs of assumptions. You assume something. So we'll say, I'm not going to even give them a name, I'm just going to say dhanna, or let's make it even more simple. Dhanantu wa hasibtu. That's all you need to know. They bring assumptions. They are verbs, just like any other verbs, but they are verbs that require a noun-based sentence in order for them to function properly. They can't really function, they can't bring a complete sentence into play unless they have a noun-based sentence. So they will position themselves in the exact same spot. They'll come right over here, but they bring something with them. What do they bring with them?
They bring their own noun.
Yes, their own fa'il. They bring their own fa'il into the mix. So these guys, neither of them becomes a fa'il. They bring their own subject into the mix. Most of the time, dhanantu hasibtu, talking about yourself. But you can use anything. You can say dhanna hamdi, or hasiba ahmad, or hasiba abdullah, no problem. But after you say that, it needs a noun-based sentence to function. So what will it affect? It will affect both. Both. And both of them will become mansoob at this time. Both of them they'll be called mafa'il. They'll be called maf'ul. So you're asking me, well, where does dhanna and hasiba fall in the study of al-marfu'at min al-asma? Right, because that's what we're studying. Here on the side, where we are in our study, we're in al-marfu'at min al-asma. Nouns that are in the status of rafa'. That's where we are. We've studied al-fa'il, na'ib al-fa'il, or na'ibahu, al-mubtada, al-khabar, and then ism, kana, khabar, inna, because these are in effect. And then we have at-tawabi', the followers that we're going to study. Where does dhanna and hasiba fall in this? Nowhere. But we have to talk, if we're talking about grammatical factors that enter sentences, we have to bring this up because it's the last one. It wouldn't be proper if we didn't talk about it for a moment. So you bring it in here, and then you have dhanantu, then mubtada and khabar. Give me an example of a mubtada and khabar, ya Hamdi. Give me a sentence.
كتاب
Now come on, we've done that like so many times. I've killed that. Give me something different.
صغير.
الكتاب صغير. Let's describe the kitab with something more based on books. الكتاب مفيد. It's beneficial, right? Because books, yeah, there's something to learn. So kitab mufid.
Except for if it's a comic book.
So there you go. So let's say I told you, oh, this is an awesome book. Hamdi, it's a comic book. It's an awesome book. You're like, yes, it's an awesome book. Then you read it, and it wasn't too awesome. There was no really benefit in it. And then they'll ask you, the brother will ask you, well, why do you read it then? If it wasn't helpful, why do you read it? So you'll say, I assumed it was beneficial. I'm just giving you a scenario. I assumed it was beneficial. So what would you say in Arabic? You would bring an assumption verb. You would say ظننت. I thought, I assumed, right? So you would stick ظننت right over here. But this is the mubtada and khabar. What happens to them now?
They're both منصوب.
Look, both can come mansub. They used to be kitabu maftuhun. That's how it was, right? Just a second ago. Now this guy comes in, he ruins that. It becomes ظننت الكتابة مفيدا. That's what you would say. You would say, well, I read it because I thought it was helpful. The Shaykh told me it was. It turned out not to be helpful at all. ظننت الكتاب مفيدا. Understanding how it works? But dhanna is a verb and its fa'il is with it. ظننت. It brought its fa'il with it. Didn't come alone. It needs two things. These guys don't need two things. They come by themselves. This guy needs to bring someone with it because it's a verb. He's a full-blown verb. Two. ظننت. The ta is the fa'il, me. So the ta is tricky. If it's dhananta, then the fa'al means it's you, ta means you, tu means me, ti means you, female, right? So the ta is a bit tricky, but the ta is the fa'al. So it'd be dhanna Ahmed, it'd be like this. So if I was to tell, if he said, I read this book, it wasn't helpful, and then he asked him, why did you read it? He was at it, so I defended him. I would say, well, brother, he thought that the book was beneficial, that's why he did it. So I would say, dhanna, we talked to the Razi, dhanna hamdi. Actually, I don't even know how hamdi would be written in Arabic. Is it hamdiyun? No, it's not, is it? What is hamdi? Yeah, so hamdi would be marfu'. I just don't know what is the marker of on hamdi. I think it would probably be estimated. Because the ya is ya mad. Hamdi. See, Hamdi, I'm not sure if it's if in that form it's a full. We had to ask Sheikh Abdullah why he called Hamdi. What was his basis of calling Hamdi with a ya at the end of it? So we'll find out. Because the word it comes from Hamd. Just not sure with Hamdi with a ya. What is the derivative based on? I'm not sure. But dhanna Hamdi al-kitaba. So understanding that answer your question? So he's the fa'il here. So dhanna hamdi. So if you take out hamdi dhanantu, it's me. Depending on it's just a normal verb-based sentence really with nothing. Of course, al-kitaba mufidan. So now let's bring in one of the other grammatical factors, the incomplete verb or the fi'l al-naqis. Bring two of them. Bring me a simple one. What's the simplest one you can bring in? Yeah. So you read the book, you liked it. You say after you're finished, kana al-kitab bu, because it doesn't affect the usm, it affects the khabar. Remember, this guy boing affects the khabar. Mufi. Then, are you guys remembering? So this guy here affects the khabar. He makes it mansoob. Doesn't touch the usm. That's why usm kana is one of the marfu'at min al-asma. You could say, if I asked you and you didn't like the book, it wasn't helpful at all, you'll say laysa. ليس الكتاب مفيدا, completely useless, right? Or if after you said that to me, I got very upset and I rewrote my book all over again, and then you read it again and you come to me and you say صار الكتاب مفيدا. Now it's beneficial. After you rewrote it and you fixed what I told you to fix, now it's beneficial. Or أصبح would be the same meaning. Now let's take the final number, the أحرف مشبهة بالفعل, the prepositions that are similar to verbs. Put the simplest one. What's the simplest one? Inna. What does inna do though? What does it affect? No, what does it make it? Yeah, mufi. Dun. All right. Kitaba. We haven't learned that yet. We will learn that soon. Why? I'm gonna leave that for a while. I don't want to complicate things or overcomplicate things. The same thing. If you're not sure about it, but you're hoping that the book you're going to read is helpful, you'll say لعل. You're hoping it's beneficial because you're going to read it. You read it, it was completely useless and everyone yelled at me for it, but you like me. And you would wish that it didn't happen. You would say, Layt al-kitab mufid. I wish it was helpful. I wish it was a beneficial book and he didn't get, roasted and stoned for it, right? And then if it seems to you, or it's as if the book is beneficial. You haven't read it yet, but based on people's feedback, you think, seems like it's beneficial. It's as if it's beneficial. You say, كأن الكتاب مفيد. Seems to me, it's as if the book is beneficial. Yes?
Can I give an example?
Give me one more example.
Okay, so say you were about to buy a book, and then you were about to buy the book, and then your friend was like, no, and then you're like, لكن الكتاب.
There you go. See, now you have a brain working. So he told you not to buy it, but you want to tell him, however, you're wrong here. However, the book is, so you changed the way the sentence, you objected in a sentence. Lakinna objects, it changes the way things are going. We're going in a certain flow in the sentence, and then we change things. It's when you say however in an English sentence. So you would say to that friend who's telling you the book is not, why do you want to buy a book? Go and buy a popsicle with the money instead. You say, no, lakinna. It could work both ways. Again, lakin and lakin are different in meaning. So when you take off the shadda, it's no longer one of these. When you take off the shadda, it's no longer one of these, and it has a different meaning. But we'll talk about that inshallah in a different chapter. So that was a very good one. That was the final one. Jazakallah khair. Okay. Anna is just if it's in the middle of the sentence. That's all. Anna is exactly like inna, it's just anna is somewhere in the middle of a sentence. Inna is at the beginning. There's no difference at all between them. Okay, so I'll quickly summarize this one more time. We have a noun-based sentence that is mubtada and khabar. And mubtada can be a noun or a pronoun, and khabar can be either a noun, a semi-sentence, or a full sentence. Now we have three factors, grammatical factors, that will interfere with a noun-based sentence. Meaning, in order for these grammatical factors to function, they need a noun-based sentence somewhere to come in, to enter this sentence and affect it. The incomplete verbs will enter, and they'll affect the khabar. They give it a tense. They give it a time. Remember that. They give it some form of timing. The prepositions that are similar to verbs will enter a noun-based sentence, and they'll affect the mubtada in different ways. They have more concrete meanings. They're either emphasize, draw similes, break flows of sentences, however, have wishful thinking or hopeful thinking. So they have more concrete meanings. And the final one are the verbs of assumption. Dhanna and hasiba. The rest we don't care about. Dhanna and hasiba, but they need a fa'il. They need to bring their own fa'il. And when they do, they affect both. See, the blue one jumps in, it affects both the mubtada and the khabar, and they'll make both of them mansoob. Does that make sense? And those are the grammatical factors that we have. To read what the Imam said in the text. وَأَمَّا ظَنَنْتُ وَأَخَوَاتُهَا فَإِنَّهَا تَنْصِبُ الْمُبْتَدَأَ وَالْخَبَرَ عَلَى أَنَّهُمَا مَفْعُولَانِ لَهَا. And as for ظَنَنْتُ وَأَخَوَاتُهَا, and they have different, I just chose hasiba as the example because the rest are not as solid. فإنها تنصب, it makes منصوب المبتدأ والخبر على أنهما مفعولان لها, and they're called مفعول به أول and مفعول به ثاني from now on. They're called objects from now on. The مبتدأ and الخبر now are going to be called objects from that moment forward. وهي, and he counts them, ظننت وحسبت وخلت وزعمت ورأيت وعلمت ووجدت واتخذت وجعلت وسمعت. And the actual ones that are, the original two is dhanna and hasiba, and the rest are spin-offs from those words that we don't have to study in detail now. But تقول, you would say, ظننت زيدا قائما. I assumed or I thought Zayd was standing up. It used to be Zaydun qa'im. Now it's ظننت زيدا قائما because it entered and it made mansoob both the mubtada and the khabar. ورأيت عمرا شاخصا, and I saw Umar staring or elevating. وما أشبه ذلك, and examples that are similar to that. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the chapter of the adjective, which is babun na'ti. Yes? Yeah. So I assumed. They're called the verbs of assumptions. It's a verb-based sentence. Yes. Of course, when this guy comes in, it's turned into a verb-based sentence at this point. But this verb specifically, different than all the other verbs of the Arabic language, they need a noun-based sentence to function. They can't function without this. Other verb-based verbs, they don't need a noun-based sentence. They need an object, a subject, and an object. The subject and an object, when you put them alone, they don't form a sentence, right? Remember I talked about that last time. Remember, Hamdi? So if I say Mahmoud al-Kura, Mahmoud the ball. First of all, if that's a description, it's rude, because Mahmoud's not a ball. And even if it was a description, it's not a full sentence. But then you bring in a verb, and you say Rakala, Mahmoud kicked the ball. So a normal verb doesn't need a noun-based sentence, it just needs a subject and an object. But these guys, they bring their subject into the sentence, and they need a noun-based sentence to function. They need a mubtada and a khabar later on. Are you understanding the difference between so dhann and hasiba need more things. They're a verb themselves, they bring their own subject, and then they need a noun-based sentence. They need a mubtada and a khabar. They need two things. And they need 1 plus 2. They need both. They need both in order to function. That's why they're different. That's why they're given their own. That's why they're called grammatical factors. Even though you could easily get by with never calling them grammatical factors, but since we're talking about that, it's worthy of bringing that up and making sure that's clarified. All right. So let's take all this off. We're going to study at-tawabi' now, the final form of nouns that are in the status of rafa, state of rafa, sorry. التابع للمرفوع, very good. Same thing, yes. For the incomplete verbs and for the dhann, it's the same thing. Yeah. So التوابع. التوابع are 4 things: the adjective النعت, المعطوف, البدل. Yes, what else? Go ahead, count them. التوكيد, البدل, صح, النعت والمعطوف, right? Very good. So we're going to start with النعت, the adjective, and then we'll study the rest as we go along, inshallah, so I don't overcomplicate things. So let's take the first, النعت, or it's also called, has another name, الصفة. Exactly the same thing. النعت equals الصفة, no difference. In English, this is adjective. All right. So let's read what he says here. النعت, the adjective, تابع للمنعوت. It follows the man'ut. It follows the described or the object of its description. في رفعه ونصبه وخفضه. It will follow it in terms of its grammatical status. So what are the grammar statuses for nouns? It's either marfu', mansub, or majroor, right? So the na'at, the adjective, will follow the object of its description or the described noun in its status. If it's marfu', it'll be marfu' like it. If it's mansub, it'll be mansub like it. If it's majroor, it'll be majroor like it. So now we're talking about, let's say if it's marfu', then suddenly the na'at becomes a marfu', a noun that is in the state of rafa, because it's following a word before it that is marfu'. وَتَعْرِيفِهِ وَتَنْكِيرِهِ. And it will also follow it in terms of its ta'rif and tankir. Ta'rif and tankir mean whether it's definite or indefinite. So let's talk about that for a moment, just so that we can function, inshallah. So if I say bait, and then I say al-bait. What's the difference? Obviously, by writing, what is the difference?
Bait is like, you're not talking about a certain house, you're just talking about like a random house.
House, right? A house.
A house.
Any house. And here?
You're talking about a specific house.
Yes, the house. This is definite. This is indefinite. This is specific. This is non-specific. So an adjective will resemble the object of its description in 2 things: in its grammatical status and state of definition, of how whether it's definite or indefinite. So here we have an Arabic sentence. We have al-man'ut. Yes, I will. So the object of description. So the object of description, right? And not the adjective. So this will follow this. It will resemble it in two things. The two things. The first one in its grammatical status. What do I mean by that? So I mean by, go ahead. Yeah, rafi', nasib, and jar. If this guy is marfu', he's going to be marfu'. If this guy is mansoob, mansoob, majroor, majroor. The second thing that it follows in is state of definition, or defineness, I think is a better word. Whether it's definite or indefinite. Right? So if indefinite, in Arabic definite means mu'arraf. Mu'arraf, or indefinite. أيوة munakkar or nakira. So ma'rifa is and nakira. I'll give you an example. Very good. Let's use two words. Let's say al-bayt. Now, if the house, yeah, let's say I want to say the red house. So if I say al-bayt ahmar, mubtada khabar, right? The house is red. You have a full noun-based sentence. Now, in order for me to say the red house, this has to, because it followed it in its grammatical status. So this is marfu', marfu'. So it's got one. Now it has to get the other one. The state of defining whether definite or indefinite. Is defining is the right word? What's the right word? Definitiveness, right? I think that's the right word. I don't know. I'm just going to leave that. If I make a mistake, just forgive me, but I'm not sure what the right word is. So this is, what is this? Mu'arraf or munakkar? Is this definite or indefinite? It's definite, right? It has an alif lam. Is this definite or indefinite? It's indefinite. So what would we do to make it definite? Now it works. Now this guy is a nat. He's a follower to this guy. Is this a full sentence now? No. No longer. We need something. The red house. Yeah, what about it? Are you understanding the problem? I'm going to tell you a story just for the, since the sheikh, it's been half an hour, let me tell you guys something. So when it was narrated a long time ago, yes?
What is that saying?
Of description, the object of description, not. What? Al-man'ut. Al-man'ut.
That's the definiteness.
Definiteness, is that what it says? Okay. Of definiteness. Okay, that's what I'll do then.
Okay.
I don't even know how to spell that. Definite. Yalla. So, yeah. So if the story that was narrated was the following: that a man made adhan with the existence of Arabi. An Arabi is a person who comes from the Arabic desert, and his Arabic, these people's Arabic is very, very strong just by nature. It's like a second nature to them, or first nature to them is the native language. So people who don't know Arabic can make mistakes. So he listened to the adhan, and one guy said the following, and he's making adhan. I want you to see if you can catch the mistake here. He said, no, that's fine, by the way. It can be Allahu Akbar or Allahu Akbar. All that is fine. No, so he said it's not about this. It's a bit different, but I thought the story was. I wanted to share it a week ago, but I forgot. He said, "Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah." So the Arabi said, "What about him?" The Arabi said, "What about him?" And then the guy said, "Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah." And he said again, "What about him? What do you have to say here?" Now, Why that is the? Can you figure out why? Go ahead, give it a jab.
Follows the word before it. Rasula Muhammadan.
So this becomes what to this? Not. Yeah. So in a noun-based sentence, if it was a mubtada and khabar, it would look like this: Muhammadun Rasulullah. Anna entered, right? One of the grammatical factors that enter a noun-based sentence. Anna entered. What is Anna going to do? What does it affect, Hamdi? The mubtada, the first one. Does it affect Rasul?
No.
So it should be Anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Because what you're saying is, I bear witness that Muhammad is the Prophet. When he said Anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, what he said was, I bear witness that Muhammad, the Prophet of God, and he didn't say anything after that. So the Arabi is like, what about him? Now he understood the idea, but it's like, that's so wrong. It's Rasulu. Is, because Anna only affects this guy. If this guy is affected, that means Rasula becomes a follower to Muhammadan. It's mansoob like it. It's following it. So it becomes a description. That means the khabar of this sentence is somewhere here not said yet. Are you saying the idea? So there's something missing and when you say it like that. Did I make sense? Okay. Now Allah is always going to have a kasra on it here. Always. Doesn't matter. This is called idafa. We'll talk about that inshallah soon. We're not there yet, but we'll talk about that. That's always going to be like that. Okay. So small little changes can be very, very harmful in terms of what the meaning is going to be. So al-baytul ahmaru, now we have something missing. We need a khabar. You have to have some khabar because this is a nat. The beautiful thing about this is that you can just keep on stacking nats, stacking adjectives. You can have like 3 pages worth of adjectives and still no meaning to the sentence. Al-baytu, let's try. Al-ahmaru, al-kabiru, al-jamilu, al-ali, al-qadim, al-murattab, al-jadid, al-qadim, al-jadid. You just keep on, this is not a sentence. Until you say something at the end, until you give a khabar, this means nothing. To a lot of linguistic scholars, this doesn't count as talk, because it's meaningless. You're not doing anything. You have to give something, or you have to estimate the khabar. There has to be an estimation of the khabar if you're not going to put a khabar. Yes.
Like this would be like a list, like for example, right? So in English, like the end, there's like the and.
There's nothing there. There's something similar to that here. It's called waw with thamaniya, but that's a whole different. No, forget about that. In Arabic, they don't need it. Like you just keep on going and going. But in English, it's more adding things. It's not really describing them.
No,
yeah.
When you have a list.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. So in Arabic, it doesn't, because there's no waw anyway. So you don't really need it. But again, so التائبون العابدون الحامدون السائحون الراكعون الساجدون الآمرون بالمعروف والناهون عن المنكر. So after the 8th one, a waw is added. So they say that after 8, you put a waw. I don't know. A lot of scholars argue against it, and you can see in texts of different books a lot of quarrels between scholars in terms of is that proper or not.
Are there any grammatical signs like commas or something?
Say it again. Sorry, I didn't.
Are there any commas or something?
In Arabic, it's funny. The inserting commas and periods into the Arabic language is something that didn't exist up till maybe the Quran brought the concept of the ayah, of the verse. Before that, it was the Arabic poetry, the verses of poetry that were considered the end or the beginning of a sentence. But commas never existed in Arabic until recently. So it's more of it's a more modern study, to be honest. So, but you can use it. I can see it being used properly in Arabic, but it's not as important because just of the way the Arabic sentence is structured. It's not like English. In English, repeating a word twice in a sentence or in the next sentence is considered a big problem, right? In Arabic, you can say the word qala as many times as you want, as long as that's the word that you need. You can repeat it 1,000,000 times. It's not considered something that brings down the value of what you've written. Understand the idea? In English, remember when you're writing an essay in English, you have to look for synonyms. Like the worst part, you have to look for a word. That's not why. This is the right word. Why can't I use it again? In English, it sounds weird. In Arabic, it doesn't. If that's the word you want, then use it. It doesn't matter how many times you use it if it's the word that brings the meaning, and because there's no such thing in Arabic as two words that have the exact same meaning. If it's a different word, there's a different meaning added to it. In English, that's not the case all the time. Sorry?
There was one word that you said over there means the same thing.
ظَنًّا حَسِبَ?
Yeah, the adjective.
Yeah.
No, he was talking about na'am. Yeah.
Yeah, so in grammar they have the same meaning. But in actual linguistic Arabic, na'at is different than sifa. Right? So for the terminology of linguistics, na'at equals sifa for us. But in the actual meaning, if you go to the dictionary and you look up yani waw sad fa, and you look up noon ain ta, they're different words with different meanings. They have similar meaning but not identical. But for the terminology of what we're doing, they're the same. Does that make sense? So the terminology is different than what actually. Does that make sense to you? Okay. So that's what.
So I could just be like, the house is red, and red in Arabic. Would that make sense? You said maybe like when the
No, different ones, not the same one.
maybe when you're going into different sentences.
I mean, you can't use the same word. That would sound weird.
But you said the same word.
No, like words that are similar, like the same. You can do a lot of nu'ut, you can do a lot of adjectives in a row. It doesn't matter, but it's not a sentence until you bring in some piece of information into the mix. Okay.
Like the brother just said, like you can't say, then I went to the store, then I went home, then I went, then, right? You just say afterwards.
In Arabic, you can say then as many times as you want. You can say thumma, 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 as long as that thumma brings the meaning. Because fa and thumma are different. They don't mean the same thing. So if you want to just change them just because you feel bored, you're harming the actual structure of your sentence because you're implying a meaning that is probably wrong. So just stick to the word that actually brings the meaning of what you want to say. It's more appreciated that way. All right. So let's. So he gave examples. قال تقول قام زيد العاقل ورأيت زيدا العاقل ومررت بزيد العاقل. So let me give. This is important. So Zayd. Zayd عاقل. So first of all, مرفوع. So that's the first condition. Does the second condition apply too? Are they both indefinite or both definite? Say it again? Yes, there you go. Zayd is an individual. He doesn't have an alif and lam, but he doesn't need one. He's a person. So you don't need an alif lam to be there. So this guy is ma'arifa or mu'arraf, definite. And this is nakira or munakkar or indefinite. How can you make this indefinite? Almost impossible, but not impossible. But that's not our point. But yeah, forget about it. But it's doable. But can you make this definite?
So
Make it.
Right now it's
Mubtada khabar. Very good. Right now it's mubtada khabar. And it's a full sentence.
Right now, Zayd.
The intelligent, right? So Zayd is intelligent. How would you make it Zayd the intelligent?
So, like, if there were a bunch of Zayds in the room, you would see, like, all of them are different. You would say Zaydun al.
Yeah, so the intelligent. You would say al. Very good, Hamdi. You would say al-aqil. Like I told you, just for now, just leave that and we'll come to it, inshallah. So Zaydun al-aqil. So now, Zayd the intelligent. What about him? You have to say something. Khabar can come in the form of a noun, a semi-sentence, or a sentence, right? So anything you want, just say something. Give us some information about him. Yeah, but that's weird, but you could say it. It would be a sentence. It would be an Arabic sentence. You say, Zaydun al-aqil, aqil. People look at you wondering about you if you're aqil or not when you said it, but but still it would be proper, yani, in terms of its meaning. Okay, let's try a few more. Now, there are different types of adjectives. There is something called na'at haqiqi and na'at ma'nawi. But that's, to me, is something you would study in a secondary Arabic grammar text, not on a primary one. So I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not sure. I don't think they talk. I'm pretty sure it's not spoken of here in this matan, which is a good thing because it's a bit more complicated. It kind of complicates things, all in all. But there are different types of adjectives that can be used. Yes.
So for the object, is there only two ways of making it definite, like al or it's
So there's more. So that's what we were going to talk about. So that's what the matan talks about in the second, right in the next sentence. So wal ma'rifatu ashya, and definite nouns are different categories. Al ismu al mudmaru nahwu ana wa ant. So pronouns like me, like I and you. All right. So we're going to talk about those in a second. Wal ismu al alam, and a name that is given to an individual, like Zayd and Mecca. It doesn't have to be a name of a person. It can be a name of a city or a name of anything. Any name that is given is called ism alam. Ism alam. Proper nouns. Wallahu alam. Proper nouns is what they're called. Wal ismul mubham. Al-ismul mubham is ambiguous nouns. Like what? Like hadihi, hada wa haula. This, that, those. These are definite forms. I'll write them down in a second. وَالْإِسْمُ الَّذِي فِيهِ الْأَلِفُ وَاللَّامُ, and the noun that has at the beginning of it alif lam, like نحو الرجل والغلام, like الرجل and الغلام, the man and the boy. وَمَا أُضِيفَ إِلَى وَاحِدٍ مِنْ هَذِهِ الْأَرْبَعَةِ, and what has the form of idafa. So nouns which are compounded with one of the four previously mentioned nouns. So we're going to have to talk about what compounded means, which is, you just asked me about a second. You're going to ask me the word Allah and Rasulullah, what will it have? It'll have, oh yes, kasra. Why? Because of the concept of something being compounded to something else. Okay, so let's talk about that. So na'at is pretty simple, but in order for us to understand it, this was easy, right? This is pretty simple. It's following it in its status of rafa' nasb and jar. This is a bit more complex. Meaning it has to follow it in a state of definiteness, whether it's definite or indefinite. So we have to understand what is definite and what is indefinite so you can actually understand this sentence. Yes?
I think where people confuse is that when the rafa is clear, it can be clear, but when you are using it, words like wow,
yeah, so yeah, it becomes a bit more complex, but again, that makes it. Yeah. Here we're just trying to establish the basic ideas of just what does ta'rif mean, what does definiteness mean, right? So al-ma'rifah. The definite noun, or the definite, yeah. The definite. Just leave it as that. So what examples do we have of things that are definite? The first thing he gave us, he said the pronoun. Al-ismu al-mudmar, or al-damir. The word damir would also have the same meaning. Like what? What are examples of ism mudmar? Ana, نحن, أنت, أنتِ, هم, هن, هو, هي. We studied these, right? Go back, we studied this. We went through all the different categories. All of them are definite. Right? After that, wal ismul alam, proper nouns. الاسم العلم. Any name of anything, yes?
The next one is Ishara. Beyond that.
So they're called ism al-mubham in old Arabic, but ism ishara works too. Right? So they're called ambiguous nouns. But ism ishara works too. اسم إشارة. Like what? Like هذا, that, هذه, this. Right? What else? تلك. What else examples did he give? That's pretty much all he gave. هؤلاء. Those, talking about people, etc. All these are ذلك. All of them definite. All of them definite. What else do we have? الاسم الذي فيه الألف. Anything that starts with alif lam. Anything starts with alif lam is definite immediately. Final one. Nouns, which is
The word root has alif lam. Does that say
like what? Give me a root.
nothing with alif lam?
Alif.
Yes, alif. The word alif. Right? So, no, it has to be al-alif. Aliha is the same. Yeah, that works too. Your example, aliha, ilah would have been the same thing. So nouns compounded to the previous, to any of the previous. A noun that is compounded to any of the previous becomes ma'rifah by being compounded. Compounded. Now, if you don't know what that means, I'm going to explain that in a second, because this is a big part of understanding the Arabic language. We'll take the example that Yusuf asked about. Rasul, Rasulullah. So the word Rasul, is it definite or indefinite? The word Rasul, indefinite. The word Rasul is indefinite. Why? Because I just told you what's definite. It is not a pronoun. It's not a name. It's not a name. No one's called Rasul. Unless there's some guy called Rasul and we're talking about him, that's a different story. It's not an ambiguous now. It's not an ism ishara. It's not هذا تلك هذه هؤلاء. It doesn't have an alif and lam. It does have the final one, but the word Rasul itself doesn't. When you add the word Allah to it, now let's talk about the word Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a second. What is the word Allah? Definite or indefinite? Based on what? Based on what are these categories? So it could be either proper noun or alif lam. So this is something that they differ upon in terms of Arabic. Is Allah the origin of it al-ilah, and then it was put together and became Allah, or is it the proper noun? I tend to believe it's a proper noun. I tend to believe Allah is a proper noun. It's not the alif and lam that brought it in. Wallahu a'lam. That's what I think. But they differ on that. But what we do know is that Allah, the name, is definite, mu'arraf.
Was the word Allah there before Salatana?
Yes. Yes, they used the word. Arabs have used it since Hud alayhi salam, as far as we can tell.
Would الذي go with
Yes, it would. They would, but let's leave those for a while, because they function differently. Those are called asma mawsula, and they function a bit differently. So Allah is ma'rifah. So what you see right now is a indefinite, a nakira, compounded, or the other way around, compounded to a ma'rifah, which makes this nakira the final category. The final category. Nouns compounded to any of the previous. So this is ma'rifah, you compounded it. This is called in Arabic, compounded is called idafa. It's called idafa. And the word after is called mudaf ilayh. And this guy is called mudaf from now on. What does it work to in English? How does it translate into English? Yeah, so what is it? It's the of. It's the of. Right? Here is the of.
Would it be the messenger of Allah? Because you just said it's Ma'ruf now because of the 5 things.
Yeah.
There's no Allah, right? Yeah, but he said there's no Allah at Rasul.
Yeah, so this is where translation fails horribly. This is where translation becomes problematic because that question is unanswered. So do you say messenger of Allah or do you say the messenger of Allah? Yeah, could you put an alif on lam on Rasul and the meaning still be the same?
No.
Because now if you put an alif lam, this becomes a ma'rifah. Compoundedness doesn't happen between a ma'rifah and a ma'rifah, happens between a nakira and a ma'rifah. So ar-Rasulullah is not even a word. Doesn't work at all. That makes no sense, has no meaning to it.